Flight boss, bitch, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of Terry's Moon. I'm the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, I'm going to break down how to look at the Bible utilizing the square and the compass. Now, here's the thing. When we're talking about going back to Hebrew and things of that nature, based upon utilizing the square and the compass, it's basically just outlining the book and understanding the architecture of it and how it was made. So once you start to read certain things, right, is as above the horizon and below the horizon. And when you're looking for certain letters, like for the most part, Aleph and Beth and things of that nature for the most part. And once you find these, you would take this and then you would do the little outline like a monad and you would pin these together. And once you find all the A's and the B's and then you do the outline, it come out to a star number or geometry. You find a geometry within that passage. But since we're dealing with, this is the Septuagint right here. So since we're dealing with some Greeked out shit, Latin and English, they already did it for you. AKA, this is why you see numbers. This is why they number every paragraph. See what I'm saying? You see how you got 2 there, 3, 4. So they number it for you. So basically, you ain't got to go through all the extra calculations and the numbers and all that motherfucking shit based upon the motherfucking Hebrew signs and sigils, trying to understand the astrology behind it. Or if y'all don't like the word astrology or numerology or whatever like that, geometry, trying to find the actual aspects and aligning everything together to see how the pillars on the pages is outlining. But since this is already anthropomorphized, and for y'all to try to understand it all as a whole without having to do all that, that's one of the secrets right there of how you can get to the root cause fast when you're utilizing English. You can still do it on this too, though, but I have to do too much adding numbers and shit like that and have to add everything, you know what I'm saying, to that just for them to already did it and take stuff out based upon this bastard language. All right, now, so we're going to break down. Now, we're just going to break down the first chapter and first verse of the motherfucking the Bible, Genesis. So I'm gonna help you guys understand this clearly of the spiritual nature behind it before you even get lost into the anthropomorphized story of it. So before you even start reading the language or whatever like that, what you want to understand is what? It's the first chapter. So it's number 1. Now, here's the thing. I told you they did a lot of the work for you already, aka since you reading it, they numbered the paragraphs. So that's the kind of low-key behind-the-scenes way of how we used to calculate it as far as the architecture of it. So here's the thing, right? How many paragraphs is in this part, in the first part? You got 31. Now, 31, and you got to know numerology and gematria, right? So 31, that equates to 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. So keep that in mind, right? So since this is the first chapter, right, 1, and it got 31 sentences or paragraphs or whatever like that, right? That's 4. So that's letting you know, what do 4 represents? 1 represents individuality. 4 represents thought. So keep that in mind too if you understand the Hebrew and even understand where they're trying to point to as the conclusion. You understand thought represents air, logic. 1 represents individuality, selfishness, or seeing something from one's perspective or the beginning of something in some way, shape, or form. So now we have 1 and motherfucking 4. So keep that in mind. Now keep this in mind. These are 2 things separate when we start to talk about mental mathematics, how we're building blood cells, when we start to create signs and sigils and letters and things of that nature. So keep that in mind. So 1 is one thing of its own, and 31 that's 4. That's one thing on its own. You see what I'm saying? So right now we got 14, but just 1 and 4, these are one thing on their own. Now here's the thing. 1 plus 4. Now we got to add that together mentally. 1 plus 4, that's 5, right? So 1 plus 4 is 5. Now that's one thing when we add it to 1 and the 4 together. But so that's 5. But remember, the 1 and the 4 was 2 separate things. You see what I'm saying? So once we got 1 plus 4, that's 5, plus the 1 and 4 being separate entities, you add that 2 to the 5, now that's 7. So for the most part, we're understanding our beginnings come from 7. 7 means separation. So for the most part, this is why we even came up with the offspring of Gala or things of that nature that correlated with Genesis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See what I'm saying? So keep that in mind also. 7 letters. You might think, nah, you just pulled that out of nowhere. Trust me. You don't understand. I'm trying to get y'all the spiritual energy. We ain't even read nothing yet. And y'all see how many synchronicities I'm putting together? And what is spirituality? Synchronicities, right? All right. Now, look. Now, that's 7. So that already lets you know what we're talking about. We're talking about either Saturn, Sabbath, separation in some way, shape, or form, being segregated, or something being secluded in some way, shape, or form. So now let's get into the anthropomorphified story. But now, before we start reading it as an anthropomorphified story, you know what it's getting ready to talk about. You know whatever character or whatever face they get ready to put in front of, aka in front of the story. And the story is about what we just broke down before we even started reading anything. Separation. So we know this is about 7 or separation. And we know later on through the civilizations, y'all started correlating Saturn or the Sabbath with 7. But right now we just know it as 7. And we know in ancient times, holy or whatever like that and things of that nature is correlated with separation, aka something that's unfulfilled. If something was fulfilled, it would be connected. See, this is ancient understanding you got to have first. Otherwise, you won't know what the fuck you looking at. And we ain't even read nothing yet. You see what I'm talking about? All right, now let's start reading though, right? So now that we know we're talking about 7, you really can say the hell with any of this. But, because I'm Archangel Uriel. I like to get straight to the... Matter of fact, let's get straight to the bottom. The hell with all this shit, because look, it's all going to tie together. We ain't even got to really do nothing. Let's see who is the separate one. Let's go to the... So, first of all, here's the thing. We got that 1. We got that 1, a.k.a. first chapter. We got that 4, a.k.a. It's 31 paragraphs, right? So that's 2 things, and then 1 plus 4, that's 5, and then you add those 2 things to that 5, that's 7. So for the most part, that's three versions of something. You know what I'm saying? AKA, that's kind of giving you the concept that 7, if you're spiritually inclined enough, you would have known how to pull this out. That lets you know that 7 is the 3rd heaven of 1. So if we're talking about thought, 4, which is 31 paragraphs, that's 4, and 1 is an individual thought. Right? So we know individual thought is getting is in the 2nd heaven trying to go to the 3rd heaven, or this is explaining that once something is externalized, it becomes masculine, and the triad that's masculine will be 1, 4, and 7. We're not going to get into the feminine because that's getting into later. That'll be 2, 5, and 8. But we'll tie that in later. But I'm just trying to give y'all understanding of how to pull things out before you even start reading the anthropomorphified story of it. So right now, this is also telling you that motherfucking 7 is the 3rd heaven of 1. It's the 3rd higher octave of 1. So 7 is a bigger version of 1. 4 is a bigger version of 1 also. It's just in between. It's how you get to 7. You see what I'm saying? So since we know that's a triad, that's something on its own. When we got 3 of something, we got 1, 4, and 7, because we just made it to there. So that's three forms. So don't get into Platonism and start worshiping Platonism and get into religion and stuff like that. Right now, we're just talking about 3 things we create that we can jump into. But for the most part, this is what it's talking about, right? So when you got 3 things, right, that makes a point. So this first chapter is also a point. So a point is 90 degrees, if you understand 90 degrees, because once you understand a triangle, each side of that's 120 degrees. And once you understand each side, that'll be 30, 30, 30. 30 plus 30 plus 30, that's 90. 90 take off, if you want to understand how to get to the 90, then for the most part, you understand that you break that down. That'll be, take off the 0, right? That'll be, because 6, 6, 6 on each side, right? Comes to motherfucking 18, which is 9. So 9 it'll be the 90 degree spectrum without the 0. You see what I'm saying? So it's letting you know also that 7 is the 3rd higher octave of 1, and when a triad come together, right? This is the 666. So this is separation of a triad that became light. So that's what the story is about. You know what I'm saying? Keep that in mind also. And the triad is basically just the motherfucking 3 corners. The motherfucker 4, the 1, the 4 and a 7, the individuality, the individual thought, and where the individual thought is going, aka it went towards separation. So this is what it's talking about right now. Now, here's the thing. Since that 666, what became the light? Because 666 means light now. We know it means thought, and thought means light, the masculine version of light. And for something to become masculine, it externalized itself. So for the most part, we don't even have to read the anthropomorphized story. But if we want to read a little bit, this will give us the hint. The last part, the last paragraph, right? That gave us the 31st paragraph, right? What does it say? It say, and God saw everything that he made, and look, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning the 6th day. See, now you got the spiritual energy behind it. Now you know what was the 666. This is what it's actually telling you. What it's telling you, what was the separation? What was the separate? It just told you, right? And God saw everything that he made, aka he is separate from God. So he right here is what became the thought, what became the light in some way, shape, or form. And look, it was very good. So God, that means God agreed with it. So for the most part, in the evening, and there was evening, and then there was morning. So he is the one that moves through the evening and the morning. And then there was the 6th day, aka the 7th day come after. So the first paragraph should tell you. God damn, I always forget to delete the previous videos on here. Straight said motherfucking card was full. But yeah. All right, now look, like I said, right? Now reading 31, right? It says, and God saw everything that he made, and look, it was very good, right? And then there was evening, and then there was morning, the 6th day. So for the most part, that's the 6th day, and that lets you know that individual one thought 4 is traveling into 7, aka separation, aka this is the buildup going into the 7. So what is this thing? What is this form that's separating? And this is getting ready. It's gonna let y'all know. We ain't even gotta go far. We can read the first of the motherfucking second part. Look, the heavens and the earth and all their ornamentations were completed. God completed his works that he did on the 6th day. And on the 7th day, now we into the 7th day, he ceased. Now, and you thinking the 7th day as a day, not even thinking it's talking about separation, not actually a day. So it say, God blessed the 7th day and made it sacred. Why did God make it sacred? Because on it, he ceased. What do cease mean? Deceased, to separate, to detach from all his works that God began to do. Key word, all his works that God began to do. So do you understand what it's saying? It's basically saying that the one that became flesh, the 666 or whatever like that, or the individual thought that became y'all word, and that's what this Bible is doing, anthropomorphizing a word, and the word is playing the characteristics of what light mean. You know what I'm saying? So this is supposed to be light talking. But for the most part, what separated itself to start talking as light or whatever like that, right? This is what it's explaining. It's explaining the spirit of God, aka y'all worship something that have separated from God, and God is a representation of all possibilities, aka cease from all his work. That's the spirit, his. That's the y'all worship the masculine light, all his works that God began to do, aka all possibilities. So it's basically saying that this is a spirit that came out of God. And God is a location, aka a space, aka an area, aka, and this area is just a concept of all possibilities. Now, there was a spirit that came out of that, such as yourself. You came out of a space. You came out of the space of all possibilities. So this spirit that y'all following also came out of this space of all possibilities and calling itself a spirit. You see what I'm saying? And this is the first way of getting lost. This is why I be telling y'all, when spirits start to cause themselves blasphemy, call themselves a name. And now we got the first name for something that don't have a name. All possibilities now have a name. is called a spirit now, or whatever like that. And this spirit became flesh, or 666, or or externalized itself. Masculine light. Individual, 1. Thought, 4. Where it's going, 7. That when an individual have its own thought, it separates itself from the overall parameter, all possibilities, God. So in the beginnings, God made the heavens and the earth. So in the beginnings, in the being, all possibilities made the heavens and the earth. You see what I'm saying? So when you think about made, don't get lost into create. You might get lost into create. It ain't about made, ain't about create. All possibilities just means when a spirit is in the space of all possibilities, it can imagine all things. It can feel all things. This spirit felt darkness and became a word that started possessing every other individual in this book. But that's just the first chapter. The first chapter, the first number, really can impact all the other magic star numbers in the whole Bible. And you don't even have to read the whole Bible because you already know what it's about. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? Just giving y'all the certain concepts and things of that nature. But, you know, this giving y'all the mind view. And that's not even a half. Flight boss, bitch, you know, for